Hello and welcome to another webcast brought to you by Nerd Enterprises Incorporated and yours truly, Seth David. And I've got another special webcast planned for you for today. Today we're going to do an Excel webcast because we did QuickBooks last week. So now I'm going to try and switch off a little bit between QuickBooks and Excel. And I want to do something very special for you in Excel. We're going to talk about the VLOOKUP formula, and we're going to talk specifically about how to use it in order to calculate price breaks. So let's say I have a company that I'm selling products, and I can't offer different pricing to different customers. The only way I can do that is to justify it by offering a quantity price discount. So if I have to set that same structure in place for every customer, and I have to say if you order more than 100 of these, the price goes down to this, and if you order more than 500, it goes down to this. If you order more than 1,000, it goes down to this. And at some point, it's anything over this quantity gets this price. And that's pretty much how I have to structure it. And Excel provides us with a great way to be able to set up the price break structure and then write the formula that looks up based on the quantity somebody has ordered. It'll look up the price and calculate the total for you. And it's wonderful. And it makes everything just perfect, especially during this 2009 holiday season. So with that said, I'm going to bring you over into my sharing screen, and we're going to share and care, and it's just going to be wonderful. The most wonderful time of the year. I'm going to share my computer screen with you. I'll even go as far as to share my desktop. And over here is our template. And here's the way it works. I've already laid it out, but of course I'm going to show you how to create it because it wouldn't do you much good for me to just show you, hey, look what I can do. Hey, isn't that great? So what I have here, just to show you, we're going to kind of work backwards. Here's the end result. What I want to do is I want to lay out my quantity price ranges. So I have between 1 and 99 units. The unit price is $11.95. Let me widen this for a minute. Let me just widen up all these columns. Then between 100 and 500 basically is $10.95. The actual breakpoint is the beginning of that range. And the breakpoint is what's used in the formula. This is really just for on-screen for visual purposes. But what I had to do is I had to lay it out like this first so I could visually see what are my breakpoints. The breakpoint is the beginning of the range. Now, I could write a formula that takes the first 3 digits of these, but it won't always work because then what happens when you get to 1,000 or what happens in the beginning range? So it's easier just to lay it out like this. And of course, we could expand upon this if you wanted, if your situation calls for a different price break structure, you can expand upon this. I'll show you how to set that up in just a minute. But the way this works now is, and of course I've tested it at 0. Of course, it's going to be 0, but also notice it still looks up the lowest unit price range here. And if I put in 50 of them, then it gets me the unit price of $11.95. And I could build this all into one formula, but I do it like this purposely because first of all, I want to be able to see and make sure it's looking up the right unit price. And secondly, if I'm going to use this, I just did a crude form here so you could see how this works. But really what you're going to want to do is probably redesign this in a nice looking template that you can send to your customer and say, here's your estimate. But I want to show you that this works. So now let's go to 99 of them, still gets $11.95. As soon as I go to 100, it goes to the next price level, which is $10.95. Of course, if I go to $4.99, it's still $10.95. 500, it drops it down to $9.95, right? $9.99, still $9.95. 1,000, it's $8.95. Now let's say I wanted to add to this. Well, Excel, you don't want to ever insert below the bottom of the range. So what I would do is I would take this, take my 1,000. You want to format these for text, just so it lines up nicely. And so that breakpoint is going to be 1,000. And let's say it's 1,000 to 1,500, right? Breakpoint's 1,000. Let's say this goes down to $8.95. And let's say 1,500 plus gives me a breakpoint of 1,500, and this is going to be $7.95. Well, notice at 1,000, I'm still at $8.95. $14.99, I'm still at $8.95. My total is getting up there. 1,500. Now it goes to $7.95. So that's how you'd fix this. Now the only thing I have to show you here is how to write this formula right here, how to look up the unit price. And if you look up here in the formula bar, you'll see it's not a very long or complicated formula. Normally when we do a VLOOKUP, we're looking for an exact match. So we put the word false at the end because we only want it to give us a result if it finds an exact match. In this case, what we're doing is we're putting the word true because we want it to look up an approximate match, which what that does is it takes the highest value it finds in the range that's closest to what we're looking up. And I'll explain what that means as I rewrite the formula. So the first thing I want to do is delete the formula so we can start all over. So a VLOOKUP starts off, every formula starts off with an equals sign, VLOOKUP. And I'm using Excel 2007, so it recognizes after I type the first few letters that I'm writing a VLOOKUP. I can hit the tab key to autocomplete. And what am I looking up? I'm looking up the purchase quantity. This is what we're going to enter. This is what the person has proposed to purchase from us. And where am I going to look for it? I'm going to look for it in my breakpoint range, which encompasses this whole range here. And I'm just clicking and dragging with my mouse and highlighting the range. So that part's easy still so far. So that's what I've told it what I'm looking up. Right, I'm looking up C3. Something happened here. I lost that part. Let's try this again. Equals VLOOKUP. I'm looking up that. I have to put a comma in there and let it know that I'm doing the next thing. So I'm telling it this is what I'm looking up, and this is where I'm looking it up. So that's what I've got now. I'm looking up whatever's in F3, which is the 1500 right now. And where am I looking it up? Between C3 and D8 in that range. And now I have to tell it, if it finds a match, or an approximate match, as the case may be, where's it going to find the result? Where's it going to go to give me the result? Well, I put a comma, and I want the result coming from the second column, because that's where the prices are. It's the second column in the range that I've defined. So I put a comma 2, because that means it's going to take it from this column here. So comma 2, and then the last piece is where I put either true or false. As soon as I put the comma, Excel recognizes I'm at that point in the formula, and it wants to know true or false. True is an approximate match, false is an exact match. Well, in this case, like I said, I want it to be true because I want it to do an approximate match, which means it's going to find the highest value short of whatever my number is. And so we're going to pick true, and it's not going to let me actually select it that way. So let's just type true. Close parentheses, boom. My formula is written. So how does this work? What it says is, if I put anything under 100, it's going to find the highest match that's close, but not higher than what I've placed. So that's why if I put 99, it's going to pick from this range. It's going to go below the next tier up. It's not going to go over the 100. As soon as I put 100, in that case, it's going to find an exact match, but we don't know that necessarily. But if I put 101, now the highest amount that it finds in the range, short of what I've put in, is going to be 100. And that's going to hold true from 100 all the way up to 499, anything short of the next breakpoint, which is the 500. So I put that in there for the 499, and I'm still there. I put the 500 in, now it recognizes we're at the next point. And again, you can expand upon this by simply inserting, but remember, you always want to insert at the bottom. You don't want to insert below that, because when we define this range, it won't include it in the range if I insert down here. If I insert anywhere from the bottom up, it will include that. It will update the lookup range. Notice now it says C3 to D9. So it's important to understand that dynamic of how Excel works. And then here I can put 1500 to 2000. And the breakpoint is always the beginning of the range, 1500. This becomes 795, and then the next one down has to be 695. Obviously, you're going to set your pricing structure according to what you want, and this now has to be 2000 plus. And I have to put the 2000 there. So that's how we expand upon that. So again, now if I put in 1999, I'm still at 795. As soon as I put 2000, drops to 695. This is a very powerful yet simple formula that you can write, which will change your life. No, I'm just kidding, but it'll really help you if you're selling products in terms of determining how to set up your pricing structure and how to make sure that you offer your product pricing according to Uniform Commercial Code, that you give the right price break discounts to people and make sure that they're getting a fair price for the amount that they're buying. And so this is something that comes up commonly in business, and now hopefully I've given you something that will help you work it out. And that's that. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. And I will see you very shortly with another webcast, probably about this time next week. Have a great week.